Hi all, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of colour. So today's video is a little bit different. We are both at our cousin's destination wedding, and I basically roped my cousin, Dr. Ravina, to come and do a YouTube video for me on women's health. That's her expertise. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. So good evening. I am Dr. Ravina. I am a women's health doctor working in the NHS, and I'm Femtech founder of SONAS. Really excited to be here and answer all of your women's health questions.
I really appreciate on Instagram, a lot of you had actually given me your questions, and so I've sent them all to Ravina so that she can basically do the top 10 questions that tend to get asked. Right, so let's start off with the first question. Okay, so the first question was, what is PMS and how do I treat it?
Okay, so this is an excellent question because it's so common. So PMS stands for premenstrual syndrome, and this is so common. About 7 in 10 women will have this in some stage in their life, and there's a range of different symptoms. So first of all, I'll tell you what it is, then I'll tell you the symptoms, and I'll tell you what we can do to treat it. So PMS usually happens in the week just before your period. So if you have a typical menstrual cycle, which is usually between 28 to 35 days, this will happen in the week before, so day 21 to 28. The reason this happens is because your hormone levels, specifically progesterone, this drops, and it drops quite suddenly. And the reason it drops is so that you can then have a bleed. And some of the symptoms that you get are things like acne, you may get some weight gain, you may feel a bit bloated. They're really common symptoms. Less common symptoms are things like mood changes, feeling really low. You also may get things like, feeling low is so common.
It's like classic for me actually in my household.
Yeah.
So my husband will actually say, we usually have an argument. He'll be like, it's that time, and he's always right. It's the most frustrating thing is, you'd like to be all, women empowered and be like, no, I'm just annoyed by something, but lo and behold, every time, and then I get a spot. It's just simultaneously the two happen.
They're two very, very common. And other things you can get are people get something called like brain fog, where you find it really difficult to concentrate. So typically you may find that if you're studying, it may be really difficult to study. If you're at work, it's a really difficult time to just do your normal activity. And it's all really typical because your hormones are fluctuating. Now, there are lots of things we can do to help you. So the first is conservative things. So these are things that you can change in your lifestyle. So regular exercise. Now, it's really important to do moderate to high intensity workout during this time, because typically you're really tired, your body's fatigued, you don't have very much energy. So you need to do high workout just to up your energy levels. The second thing is to have a good diet. So we like to just really advertise to have a Mediterranean diet. So high protein, lots of vegetables, and that just helps to kind of just stabilize the mood levels. So that's more like the lifestyle side of things. And then you have medication. Some people have really severe symptoms and they do need medication just to help deal with those symptoms. So things like the pill, you can take the pill and that just stops the periods. If you don't have your period, you're not going to get the symptoms. You can take some supplements, that can be quite useful, and there's lots of research going into different types of vitamins that can help this. And then
which one specifically would you recommend?
Yeah, so vitamin D definitely is great because that helps with not only the tired symptoms and the low energy and fatigue, but it helps, as Dr. V will teach you all about how good it is for your skin. So that helps with this acne and that side of things, as well as the energy.
I'm just going to say a little bit more about Ravina. Yeah. So Ravina is one of the youngest cousins. She's like cousin number 8. Are you? Cousin number 8 out of like 12 of us. So this was the one that, by the time we get to cousin number 8, we're not really paying much attention. And this child comes out with 11 A stars, gets straight into medical school, and is just the brightest of the entire bunch. And you could just tell just by that, literally just off the cuff, 4 minutes, I'm going to talk about PMS and do a full lecture for you. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But I have to tell you, our inspiration is actually Dr. V over here. She's the OG doctor, so we're all following in her footsteps.
I'm so glad she's here with us today. She's got so much information. Okay, so the next question is something actually I've been hearing a lot about. I'm a bit nervous about using myself, and that's the menstrual cup. So until date, I've been using tampons, and tampons are not good for the environment. It's probably not something we're going to want to encourage our children to do. And menstrual cups seem to be one of the better environmentally friendly ways forward. I'm a bit nervous about the whole situation. I don't know. I bleed very heavily on day one. Like day one for me is just like all the blood comes out. I'm very dehydrated. I'm very weak. I'm in a lot of pain. And day 2, 3, I'm fine. So when you're bleeding that much and you're getting through, 2 or 3 super tampons and you can easily like bleed the bed, how on earth do you deal with a menstrual cup? Is it going to catch everything? Is it, going to lead to accidents? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. And typically at the moment, everyone's looking to be more environmentally friendly. So menstrual cups are very topical. So let me tell you a little bit about what menstrual cups are, how you insert them, what they do. So first of all, menstrual cups are, as you said, an alternative to tampons, to pads. And menstrual cups, you insert them, and you can do this yourself. So you insert it up inside the vagina, and it sits within the vaginal wall. You want to put it up further up, so that it sits just below your cervix. And this is how you know that it's further up and not going to fall down.
Is it painful when you put it up that high?
No, it shouldn't. So typical material is silicone.
Okay.
You can also get latex. If you've got a latex allergy, don't obviously get latex. But you can get it in lots of different materials. Okay. And that's great because it means that you can use it. You can use it again and again. Some people can use it up to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's really, really environmentally friendly compared to like tampons and pads that contain plastic.
Okay.
And polyester.
So does it go up like this and then
exactly,
like a cup? Okay.
Exactly. So you actually want to squish it.
Okay.
You want to squish it, put it all the way up, and then it expands.
Right.
And the way that the womb is that it actually creates like a vacuum.
Yeah.
So a vacuum actually like sucks the cup in. So it doesn't mean it can't really fall out because it actually creates a vacuum where it's actually sitting within the vagina. It's not going to go up into your womb. It's not going to fall down. It's only with your pressure that you can pull it out.
Right.
And it can then gather blood for up from 4 to 10 hours.
Okay.
So you can keep it in all day and change it maybe 2 or 3 times in the day.
Then when you change it and you take it out, all the blood's gonna it's like a plug, right? All the blood will come out like that.
So it doesn't come out straight away.
Okay.
So you can so you obviously take it out, but as it's been there for quite a few hours, it then clots.
Right.
The blood clots. So it's not going to be really runny. It's not going to sort of go. Well, it shouldn't go all.
I was thinking, is there like a plug or you know?
No, it should be like quite controlled.
Okay, good.
And as I said, it's going to be quite clotted. So you pull it out and then empty it either in the toilet and then rinse it in your own sink.
Okay.
Exactly. And then just reuse it.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of leakages, really rare. Some people do put a panty liner on as well, but generally it's pretty sufficient and it's really it doesn't absorb, it collects.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to try this, guys, and I'm going to put this on my Instagram actually I'm not going to take you into the bathroom with me, but I'm going to explain it as I'm doing it myself and tell you any issues I have, just in case it's something you guys are also interested in. Make sure you are following me, by the way, on Instagram, which is Dr. Vanita Rattan and Skincare by Dr. V. And also make sure you're following Ravina on your...
Yeah, so it's Dr.Ravina, and I'll be doing a few webinars on PMS and also on menstrual problems, as a lot of you have asked lots of questions. So we'll tackle each one in turn because there's just so much to say.
There is so much.
Yeah.
So it's getting very, very dark right now. So I've literally just put our lighting on. There's a bit of a shadow behind us, but at least you can see our faces. So the next question is that we get asked a lot about is after COVID, my periods have stopped. What do I do?
Right. So this is such a common question. And it's really interesting because in my women's health clinic, so many women call me about this and they come to see me and say, look, you know, my periods are always normal and now I've had COVID or I've now had the COVID vaccination. And now my periods have changed. So they're either too light, they're too heavy, they're irregular. What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Now, what hasn't been done yet is research in this area. But what we do know is that there's so much anecdotal evidence. So many women are coming forward, and actually they found about 3 to 4 in 10 women have had some change in their periods, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn a lot more about this area. So the reason why we think this is happening, why periods are changing. This doesn't mean anything's happening to your body, doesn't mean there's any change in your fertility. But what we think is happening is as you get the COVID jab, you are getting immunity. Your body is going through a stress reaction. And the most common stress hormone we have is something called cortisol. Yeah. So cortisol rises in any stress reaction. It's your fight or flight response. And that's the hormones that's released. So similarly, when you have your COVID jab, your body is now being introduced to a new protein, and it then builds immunity, builds antibodies against that virus. So if you ever were to get COVID, you'd have a little bit of immunity. And because your body's going through this stress reaction, your body then stops producing the hormones, or may have some irregularity of the hormones that you need to regulate your menstrual cycle. So that's the current reason for why people are having changes in their menstrual cycle.
It's a little bit like when you have a stressful time in your life, or there's a tragedy and your periods change. It's a similar response.
It's
basically
exactly
happening.
the same. So whether that's more of an emotional response. So if you're going through a stressful time, just as you said, that can also trigger cortisol. Or similarly, if you're exercising a lot and you have a small BMI, if you're quite small and thin, you can also have your period stop because of that stress response in your body. So it's just the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the next one is tips for getting pregnant, because I know even when I was trying, I think with my first baby I conceived quite quickly with Sienna, but with Josh it did take a few years. It was really stressful. I feel like I literally read everything there was to read on getting pregnant. And you're already worried because as you get older, you're thinking your fertility is going down. So do you have any tips for people who are trying to get pregnant?
Yeah, no, this is such a common question. Okay, so this is a massive topic, and there's so many things we can go through. If you want more information, feel free to DM me. But what I want to do is just tell you about 5 key things that you should be doing right now, right here, right now, to help you get pregnant. So first is your diet. And this is so easily dismissed, but what we eat is what we are. So we need to make sure that we're eating all the fibres, so lots of salad, lots of green leaves, like things like spinach, kale, if you like kale, and having this every single day, and that will give us all the nutrients that we need. In terms of diet, you need the good amounts of protein and also a good amount of carbohydrate. You need the energy so that your pelvic organs, so your uterus, your ovaries, can function. And similarly for a man, you need to have enough nutrients to have good spermatogenesis, which means a production of sperm, and you need to have this regularly so that you have a fresh supply of sperm. And you only get that from your nutrients. So diet is really important. The second thing is your weight. It may seem really obvious. The ideal weight to conceive is between BMI 20 to 25. And the reason for that is not only because it helps you get pregnant, there's lots of evidence to show that the sperm and egg are likely to fertilise if you are of the correct BMI.
That's so interesting, I didn't know that.
It's really interesting, but what's also interesting is that even if they do fertilise, they may not even implant effectively if someone's too overweight.
Okay. Or too underweight even as well,
or
right?
too underweight.
Wow.
So both extremes, less than 20 or over 25, which is thought to be overweight, and then over 30 is obese. So above 25 and below 20 are 2 extremes that we want to avoid. Okay. So BMI is really important. The third thing is also coming to diet is alcohol. And it's something that's very much a part of people's everyday life, part of society. When you go out, people have a drink.
Especially when you're Punjabi.
Especially at destination weddings. It happens. But everything's good in moderation.
Yes.
But with alcohol, we really like to just keep it as minimal as possible. Trying to conceive is really stressful, and couples actually are so stressed during this time. Yeah. And what we find is actually when they become less stressed, they get pregnant just on their own. You know, you can put them through tests and investigations and operations. Yeah. If we just send them on holiday and tell them just to relax, sometimes they just
have lots of sex.
Exactly.
I remember.
It helps.
Oh my god! I remember I was with my mum actually. We went to India, and I was at this point I was still trying to get pregnant. It got to a point where I'd even taken my pregnancy test with me to India. You know, because I was away for a week and I was just, peeing on it to just every day to see if I was pregnant. Yeah. And I just remember crying. I was just so distressed, so upset. It's something you're working towards, and you've got this ideal dream and you've got this blueprint, and your life is not on track with your blueprint, and you think it's your fault. Like all the emotions happen. Yeah. And my mum said to me, she was like, "Listen, Vanita, can have children for 20 years. In India, people will have their children very young and they will continue to have children for 20 years until the next one is able to conceive, you can have children for a very long time. It's just you're not having enough sex. That was the thing. She's like, you need to do it every day. So it literally was like, okay, so I, peeing on the, doing the ovulation sticks actually was giving me the wrong information as to when I should be trying. But actually, it was like you just need to more regularly, right from the day you stop your period, right through to the end. And actually, I fell pregnant really quickly.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because lots of people ask me, which ovulation stick should I use? And how often should I be having sex? And what many women learn is what they've been told by their parents, what by their sisters, by their grandparents,
or online as well.
Online. And actually, so much of that is incorrect. We shouldn't be having sex every day. Because, so that's one of the main things. And the reason for that is because
they need time to refill.
Yeah, exactly. The poor men, they need time to regenerate more sperm. And doing it every day just means that they may not be actually firing anything. You know what I mean? They may
How many days? 3 days.
So generally we say have sex every so about 3 times a week.
3 times a week.
About 3 times a week. And that means that, you're not stressing yourself out by having sex every day, but also gives time to regenerate the sperm. So what you're saying is actually things that we read about and we think, oh my God, we must do this, we must do that. But actually, what is the correct information? What's the scientific information? Ovulation sticks can be useful, but also generate a lot of stress. And anxiety, and also not all of them are that accurate. So we're just producing more stress. So going back to the point number 3, which was alcohol, some people actually find maybe having a glass of wine actually helps.
And relax the situation.
And relax the situation. And that is what we want the couple to feel relaxed and not feel like this is something that they are expected to do, that they have to
like
do.
an exam.
It's like, yes, exactly. You don't want to feel stressed. It should be a fulfilling situation and a fulfilling process. But of course, with societal pressure, it can be really stressful. So that's point number 3.
Good, excellent. The next one, oh, sorry, was it?
I think three's enough.
I feel like we need to have a spin-off to today's video. There are so many questions you guys came up. Can you write down below, yes, if you want a spin-off and you want a part 2 with Dr. Ravina, because I know where she lives and I can go and get her anytime. The next one, I think a lot of us have experienced is vaginal discharge. What's normal, what's abnormal, what should we be looking for, and should we ever take it any further?
Yes. So vaginal discharge is a really favourite topic of mine. And it doesn't sound that exciting, but funny. It really is. And for a woman who works in women's health, discharge is so important to talk about. So most of us, in fact every woman, will have discharge. And that's physiological discharge, and that you get at various different times of your period and various different types of your menstrual cycle. So the reason why we have this is because we have mucus. We have mucous membranes in our vaginal canal, and that excretes lots of things, lots of very useful liquids that help sperm to get inside the womb, but also just that our body needs. So we secrete discharge, and that can be very clear, it can be very watery, and everyone gets that. So that's the main type, that's what everyone gets. Then you can get very white, cottage cheese-like discharge, and this is really common, and you may already know it's Candida, and most women have had this at some point in their life. And Candida is completely harmless. It's not a sexually transmitted infection. You can have sex and you won't give it to someone else, and it's very easy to treat. And that's white. And then you have a greeny type discharge, and it can be quite hard to decipher what bacteria is causing it. Is it chlamydia? Is it gonorrhea? So that's why we do a sexually transmitted infection screen. And this is really useful. You can get this from your NHS sexual health clinic. They can post it to you straight to your house. You don't have to go anywhere. It's completely discreet, and then you post it back and then you get your results. So so that's really common, and young people, I think chlamydia is probably the most common STI in the UK. So if you have green discharge, please check yourself out, because that can have implications on your fertility. And there's so many other different types of discharge. Oh, another one is called bacterial vaginosis. And this is a greeny type discharge, and it smells very fishy. Okay. And if you smell any hint of fish, you've probably got BV, which is bacterial vaginosis. So now you know. That isn't an STI, and we can treat that with antibiotics quite easily. So I think the take-home message is, if you notice any change in your discharge, talk to your doctor, get an STI screen, and we can fix it pretty quickly. Okay. Yeah.
oh, that's so useful.
Yeah.
I think that's something that actually we don't discuss enough. You know, it's like one of those like taboo topics that it's not exactly you bring this up over dinner. You don't really bring this up with your friends.
That's what I mean. No one likes talking about it. But
Yeah.
vaginal discharge is so important to talk about.
Yeah.
And so many of these topics are just so embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go to a party, oh, what's your discharge? Like, no one talks about it. But, you know, that's why we have this. So it's
Absolutely. And also talking to our children about this stuff as well when they start going through puberty. And this should just be completely normal conversation and, you know, nothing like, you know, nothing to do taboo about anything. Wow, Ravina, I was like, I told you, didn't I? She's such a smart girl, this one. Oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure to help the Dr. V fans and
amazing.
all the people in the community.
You know what, she's been with me for a while now, so could you imagine, before we started this video, there was sunlight, and now there's no sunlight, and now we're back to like, we're using my beauty box light to like light up illuminate our faces. So I better let Ravina go because we've got to go and get ready for the reception party.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So no rest for the wicked. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm in the comment section for 1 hour. I'm going to get Ravina to come and jump into the comment section. So do ask your women's health questions down below and we'll both respond. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I've got 2 accounts, Dr. Vanita Rattan, Skincare by Dr. V. And also?
You can find me at Dr.Ravina, or you can follow Zonas, and we're at Zonas Fertility.
Brilliant. Also, you can come and join our private Facebook group called Dr. V Sock Family, and we will welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.